Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the Strolee travel single stroller and comparing that with the Babyzen Yoyo and the butterfly, the Bugaboo butterfly. The Yoyo is really less of an easy comparison. The butterfly and the Strolee are very similar. So those are the two we're going to be comparing most of the time, but I'll bring in the Babyzen Yoyo a little bit as well. Here's just a kind of quick look at how they stack up next to each other and the size. You can see that the Strolee is definitely a little bit bigger than the butterfly, especially when collapsed. So that is how you open it up. It's really the same on each one. You just kind of push in the handles. There's little buttons on the handle and kind of flick it open. They're really easy to open. You can see the Strolee is also slightly bigger and the handles are a little bit taller than the butterfly as well. I wouldn't say that either of them are a one-handed open. Sometimes you have to push both of them in before you open them, but they're pretty good, and you can oftentimes do it one-handed. The way that the canopies open are also pretty similar. I would say they're a similar amount of coverage, but what I really like about the Strolee one is that it has the peekaboo window in the back, which the butterfly does not, and it also doesn't have that fully mesh open part. And yes, that does give more breathability, but what I really find is it just gives a lot more sun. You know, you can't fully cover the sun with that. So I do really appreciate that the Strolee has that large canopy and then the opening in the back. It also has a full ventilation area in the back if you need that, so it's not like it's fully lacking in that way. I'm just lifting these up so you can get an idea of the straps and the handles for them. The Strolee has like 3 different areas you can bring the straps to control the size, but I would say they're pretty similar in terms of that. You can see that the butterfly seat is taller. I think that the butterfly seat is pretty much the tallest for a travel stroller on the market, and it's really great. However, when you actually look at the size inside up until the canopy, like how much actual headroom they have, I would say they're pretty similar. So strap-wise, they are both a 5-point harness. The butterfly has 4 different straps that all go into the same part, so you have to put the sides and the tops in separately. And then the Strolee used to have that, but the newer version of it, they're connected, so you're able to put them in. I wouldn't say that either of them are great. I don't love the closure on either, but they're both fine. In terms of collapsing, they collapse pretty much the same way, can both be done one-handed. It's really quite easy to do. Single hand closing and most of the time single hand opening. So now let's take a look at the wheels. In the front, I would say that the wheels are pretty similarly sized. However, in the back, the Strolee ones are quite a bit bigger, and I just find that their wheels are a little bit more rugged. So off-roading, on the gravel, not really the sand, but the gravel, the grass, that sort of thing, I do find that it performs better than the butterfly. Neither of them are great on uneven sidewalks, but that's what you just sort of have to expect with a travel stroller. In terms of the basket, it has the push-down basket in the back on the butterfly. The Strolee one is just open, but they're both pretty well-sized baskets. And then on the back of the actual strollers, there is no real storage in the butterfly, but the Strolee does have a little bit, which is really helpful. It has like a little pocket in this back part right here, and then it has something to hold a connector to another stroller, which is a whole different part of the system. In terms of being able to easily lay down the seat, I would say that they're pretty similar. I find both of them just kind of an easy grab and go. The Strolee one is a little bit harder to put back because there's like 2 different pieces of it, so you have to make sure they're even. But yeah, they're really a similar design in that way. And in terms of how much they actually lay down, also pretty similar. One of the big differences between the strollers is the brake system. So in the butterfly, the brake is in the middle, and I think that it's an easier brake. However, having that bar in the middle means that you kick it a lot of the times, especially if you have a long stride, long legs, you're taller, that sort of thing. With the Strolee, there's no bar in the middle, which is really helpful in that way. However, you have a brake for like on and a brake for off, right? Turning the brake on and off are on 2 different sides. And my husband, who is very tall, sometimes hits the brake part, the closing part, And I don't really know why he does that. I don't have any issue with that, but I do find that they're just a little bit harder. They take a little bit more time to push those pedals down than the butterfly, which is really easy. I'm also showing you the yo-yo here and how that opens and closes. I really, really hate closing the yo-yo. I find that it's a huge pain. In terms of actual like collapsing the strollers, there's no doubt in my mind that the Strolee and the butterfly are so much better for that. It is a little bit easier to carry the yo-yo, and it is smaller when it's collapsed. So if you tend to carry the stroller on your shoulder through an airport, or you definitely want to be able to put it in the bin overhead, which we did not do when we recently traveled with them. But if you do want to be able to do that, then I can see the benefit to it. But otherwise, without a doubt, the other two are so much more practical, and I enjoy the strollers so much more. The Strolee does not have any kind of like footboard or like leg extender. So the seat is just kind of ends where it does. You are able to move it into 3 different positions, but there isn't that extra like footrest. And it doesn't seem to be able to come with one of those. So the butterfly does have that footrest, and I also use that as a handle. Some people don't like it because they don't find the footrest comfortable, but my kids have no problem with that. And then I do like being able to use it as that handle when it's collapsed. The Strolee does also have a belly bar, which I never use, but you could use that as a handle when collapsed as well. So the way it works on this one is inside on the like bottom of the seat, there are 2 kind of buttons you push in, and then you're able to adjust from there. So again, it just kind of goes straight out a little bit higher and then can go down. And then with the butterfly, there are 2 buttons you push on the side, and you're able to control that way. So it does, again, have that foot bar that's sticking out, but in terms of the adjustments to the actual seat leg section, they are fairly similar. One thing I didn't really show or mention was this kind of back panel. You can take off this back part and roll it up. There's a way to control it like that so that you really can get a lot of breathability there. The butterfly does not have that, but it does have that mesh panel in the canopy. I didn't think I'd really ever use that back panel opening, but being able to lay it down and have that ventilation recently when we were in Disney World and my son was sleeping was actually pretty helpful. So you can see them side by side. They're really basically the same. You can add a cup holder. You might be able to see that on the Strolee, which is really nice. But yeah, I would say they're very similarly sized. In terms of recline and like where the seat sits are very similar, and just generally they're similar strollers. The butterfly is slightly more premium materials, but you don't notice it that much. And again, they are really quite similar. I think if you're a tall parent, having the slightly taller handles and having the ability to walk without kicking the back of it are really crucial. But they are very similar strollers. I really like both, and the Strolee is half the price, so I would say definitely one to consider.